Yeah, I mean, tell me about, like, because I see how you spend your time, and I see how I spend my time, or other people that maybe I would model. And to me, the word effective seems a little bit more appropriate than hustle, as far as how you spend your time. So
Yeah, I think too many people watch Boiler Room and Wolf of Wall Street, and
right,
this romanticized idea that being a workaholic has some sort of a payoff, or
like a trophy, like
or that it has the ends justify the means type thing, and or the means justify the ends type thing, and I just don't believe it. I never did. I never did because I lived it.
Yep.
My father was a workaholic, not because he was trying to emulate Jordan Belfort, because we lived in a place in South America where there is no Social Security retirement, where if you ever hope to retire, it's because you saved enough money, where there's no 30-year mortgages. If you ever hope to buy a house, it's because you saved up all the money for it. So it's a society that, worse today than then, but even in the 80s or 90s, no safety nets.
Venezuela?
Yeah, we didn't have any safety nets. And so it's not like, oh, we have a pandemic and the government gives you checks. Like, that wasn't a thing. Growing up, we had a dengue fever pandemic and we had a cholera pandemic in Venezuela. And so what it meant is just be careful, because you're on your own. You can't trust the public organisms to take care of the people because they're non-functioning. And so my dad was a workaholic as a consequence of someone that was a two-time immigrant, meaning he migrated from the Canary Islands to Venezuela and back to the United States. So he was a two-time in his lifetime immigrant.
Wow.
Grew up in extreme poverty. Like, my dad didn't have his first pair of shoes until he was like 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
He hadn't seen things like mangoes or bananas until they got to Venezuela, and he got there at 10 or 9 or 10. So he grew up in extreme poverty, and then he has the immigrant mindset, and then he lives in a society without safety net. So he's like, we gotta get all of it while we can.
Right.
And so he had that mentality. But the reality is, while I admire what he did for us, and I totally understand it, the final chapter of my dad's life is realizing that he's worked really hard and he's finally in the United States, a society that does have some safety nets, and he's built enough of a nest egg for himself to where he can retire at an early age of 55, and he decides to sell his business and retire, and dies a couple of weeks after that. And so the reason I'd like to tell that story is because if you think there is some kind of a finish line that you get to in your career, and then after that you get given the medal and the champagne and you get to go off and live your retirement, it's not promised. It's not promised to you, to me, or to anyone. And so the best we can do is try to give our life the most amount of quality we possibly can while we know we are alive, which is right now. And so when I translate that to business, I don't want my team members, I don't want my buyer's agents working 7 days a week and taking people out at 9 o'clock at night. I don't want that.
Yep.
I asked them to not do that. This past weekend we had someone on vacation, which meant Tommy was on vacation, which meant Anicia was going to take most of the leads for the weekend. And in the middle of the week, I told Anicia, I need you to take a day off. I don't want you to go through the whole weekend doing this. I know she can do it. And I know if I asked for it, she'll do it 1,000 times over. But the role of a leader in a business is not just to push people. Your role as a leader is to be able to fine-tune the operation so that we don't break. You have to give and take, but as a leader, you have to take more responsibility than you probably should, and you have to give more credit than you deserve. And so that's kind of what I do. That's my role as a leader, and that's how our team operates.